Hey, I'm Ryan. This is my brother Daniel, and this is Roles in the Family. And today we are reviewing Santorini, a head-to-head abstract game about building 3D structures and racing to be the first to climb to the top.
And if you're looking for a two-player game with no randomness, where you're trying to outsmart your opponent and like the idea of a lot of variability with unique player powers, then you'll want to stick around and hear more about Santorini. And as always, we've got a link to Santorini down below if you want to check it out after watching this review, but let's jump right into it.
In Santorini, each player controls two builders on a 5x5 grid, racing to be the first player to reach the top of a level 3 building with one of their builders. Each turn, you must move one of your builders to a neighboring space, and then you must have that builder construct a building on a neighboring square. When moving, you can move up one level or drop down any number of levels. Constructing always adds the next building piece to that space. However, once a building is at the third level, adding a piece actually adds a blue dome that effectively removes the space from play. Play alternates until either a builder is able to step up onto a level 3 building, winning the game, or a player cannot make a legal move, losing the game.
As a two-player game that has no luck once the game begins, Santorini feels similar to a lot of abstract strategy games such as chess or checkers, where it is all about outmaneuvering your opponent and trying to anticipate their moves, but with the added element of thinking in 3D space. As the game progresses, it can get rather cerebral as players are thinking multiple moves ahead. Since players can build domes on level 3 buildings to block their opponent from winning, you need to figure out a way to not only be able to step up to a level 3 building, but have it be a building that your opponent has no way to build on between your turns.
But the big twist that separates the game from classics in the genre is the inclusion of a whole deck of god abilities, each of which give the controlling player a special ability or alternate win condition that completely changes the way you approach the game. This could be a powerful but straightforward ability like Artemis, who can move twice before building, or something that really shakes up the feel of the game like Atlas, who can build a dome on a space at any level. And with a god like Pan, who instantly wins the game if your worker ever drops 2 or more levels, you almost feel like you are playing a completely different game.
Santorini is primarily a two-player game, but there's also a team versus team 4-player variant that we haven't played personally, but I've heard works fine. The game is almost entirely abstract, but the addition of god cards with unique abilities injects a little more flavor as many of the abilities relate to the characteristics of the gods in Greek mythology.
Santorini has no luck once the game begins, though if you are just playing a one-off game, there may be some luck in the balance of the gods you select. That said, that too can be mitigated by playing back-to-back games and switching powers, ensuring each player experiences the same advantage. The game couldn't really be more interactive as you directly maneuver around your opponent, and all structures that are built can be utilized by either player.
Setup is trivial as you just each select a god power and then alternate placing your two builders on the board. The initial teach is also really simple as the rule set is elegant and almost all of the complexity is emergent and can be discovered while playing. On one hand, Santorini is an abstract strategy game that has no variable setup. And on the other hand, it has this layer of god powers that can really make each game feel different. Together, this puts the game somewhere in the middle on our scale of setup variability.
And it is that variability in the god powers that tops our list of things to like about Santorini. The endless combinations of abilities allow you to keep experiencing the game system in new ways, leading to the kinds of surprising tactical decisions that are the hallmark of good abstract strategy games. Perhaps those who care more about an even playing field will shy away from these variable matchups, but it injects a huge fun factor for those that are more interested in playing casually.
Having a huge variety of player powers only works if the underlying game system stands on its own. And Santorini definitely has strong bones and is an interesting tactical puzzle even without the addition of the god powers. The game has a unique feel with all of the structures being shared, as well as it being so easy to cap a building to block a winning move. This has players building carefully to avoid helping their opponents, and really thinking about how they can surprise their opponent with a winning move that is impossible for them to block.
Whereas most abstract strategy games are played in 2 dimensions, Santorini adds in some fresh considerations with how the builders move around in 3D space. You can only ever step up a single level, so oftentimes a move can be blocked by simply building another level that makes it too high for the builder to climb. But you can always jump down any number of levels, which allows a builder to quickly get in position to make a blocking move. However, anytime a builder moves down, they are sacrificing high ground that ultimately is key to winning the game.
These sudden blocking moves have the potential to flip the tables, and it is fun to balance posing a threat with your attack while still thwarting your opponent's efforts. There are times where you'll feel like you are entirely on the defense, but you're looking for creative ways to improve your position while blocking your opponent's path to victory. Since, barring any exotic god powers, structures are never destroyed, the board fills up more and more, and as the game progresses, it can lead to some interesting situations where it is even possible to win by forcing your opponent to be unable to move or build on their turn.
Santorini's biggest strength also carries its biggest weakness, which is that it can be wildly swingy in how fair any given matchup is, given the selected god powers. There are combinations that are extremely imbalanced, and it can be a little disappointing to have a session that ends in a blowout that the players didn't see coming. One solution is to swap sides after the first game, but that also has the potential to make a player feel bad if they think the matchup is imbalanced, only to have the other player beat them with the quote-unquote weaker god power. Some might find the challenge of trying to win with a weaker god fun, and it can even be used to even the playing field with players of different skill levels. But for players that are just looking to pick 2 gods and play, they're kind of rolling the dice with the fairness of their matchup. And now let's get to our personal ratings for Santorini.
Well, Ryan, I was thinking about this game, and my wife and I have talked about Santorini is the type of game that I wish they would make a beautiful, version of. I mean, honestly, the version itself looks good, but this is the type of game that I would love to just leave out on a table or something kind of that,
piece of furniture in your house.
Yeah, like a piece, and it's just a little too maybe playful for or maybe a different interior design. It would fit better. But anyways, Santorini has a beautiful just first appearance to it. I think that's one of the greatest strengths it has going for it. It was the thing that really drew me to it in the first place. It's just there's no game I have that looks like this. It's the just 3D element. I mean, the pieces, obviously a kind of recreation of the Santorini in the world and kind of those cool buildings with the blue caps. Just looks absolutely beautiful. But it's all about how's the gameplay, and I love the gameplay of Santorini. I'm gonna, in terms of a rating, I'm gonna be coming in at an 8 out of 10 for Santorini. In terms of 2-player kind of head-to-head games, this is really kind of the. I guess my wife and I have a few, but this is one of the main ones that we really love, and there's a few things for it. First, the just 3D maneuvering, climbing, and it makes my brain think in a way that is so different and so satisfying. It's such a fun puzzle to just be okay, especially because you can move diagonal, so there's a lot of just really just interesting things happening, and I just love how every game it just naturally unfold. You have this towers unfolding in a unique way, and so that element of just the progression of the game is a ton of fun, especially as you get late. And if you can get a long Santorini game going, my gosh, you're getting to the end and you're having tons of capped buildings, and it just feels so crowded and intense. I think this game does a fantastic job of delivering that just tense head to head. I mean, it's obviously kind of this race to the top. You definitely feel the kind of either you're in the lead or the other, who has me, because you can just
It's like
kind of
literally
calculate.
have the upper hand because it's whoever's higher is usually
one of the few games
Yeah.
where that phrase is literal. And so you can see, oh yeah, okay, if we each just climb up at a normal pace, they're gonna win, which means I need to stop what I'm doing and play. I mean, maybe not completely, but I'm primarily on the defensive, trying to make that swing. And that moment where you can make the swing, where you make a move that, you know, either caps something or blocks it, is incredibly satisfying. So that's just the base game. And that's the crazy part about this game, and why I think it's such a fantastic 2-player game, is they have all these god powers as well. And this is where the game just goes, I think really raises it. Probably a whole point for me. It'd probably be like a 7 out of 10, solid, but really 8, goes up to an 8, and one that I really enjoy is these gods are so fun to play with and truly powerful. We're not just talking tiny little
It's the kind of
We're
thing
talking,
that makes each session like really memorable, right? Because you like remember like how different the dynamic was because this god was in play.
Yeah, so like, I mean, just to give an example, so normally you're trying to get up to that 3rd level to win the game. Well, there's a god where if you jump off the 2nd level all the way to the ground with either of your people, you win the game. Yeah. So now suddenly as the opponent, you're actually trying to build things under the opponent's things so they can't jump the full. I know. I mean, there's just these just crazy scenarios happening. When you put 2 crazy gods against each other, you do have these memorable matchups. I would say for me, the gods are both an incredible strength of the game and maybe also a little bit of the weakness of, we got into it a little bit of, there are just imbalances in the gods, and ones where it's just like, this one is just objectively better when it's matched up against this one. Like it's not necessarily better than all, but when it's against this one, it is just an unfair matchup. And I don't love that feeling because, okay, like let's say I have the way better god, I beat my wife handily, and maybe we do it again, I beat her again handily. Well, you don't really want to I find the opponent, and I'm this way too, you don't really want to switch, because then you're like, well, if they beat me, then I'm just feel horrible about myself, and so it's just, I don't know, it's created some of this kind of weird situation type thing around that. And that's probably just an inherent thing when you have gods that are that powerful, is it's going to be nearly impossible to perfectly fine-tune balance them. Although you could also then flip it back as a pro of, maybe if you're playing with someone you're trying to kind of even the playing field, you could say, hey, you can use this power and I'm a more experienced player and I'll use this god, and that balances things out a little more. But I tell you what, this one has stayed in my collection, and just delivers a strategic head-to-head experience that is unlike anything else that I have. And the variability, it really is great with all the god powers. I mean, that just keeps so much freshness in it. So that's, for me, Ryan, is an 8 out of 10. You also own this one. I actually forget you own this one.
Yeah, I haven't played my copy a ton since I've gotten it.
Right, it helps that my wife is a fan,
for
so
sure.
that gets it played a little bit more. But I'm curious where you're going to be coming in for this.
Yeah, and I mean, abstract strategy games, like as far as these type of no luck head-to-head games, they don't tend to be the games we go out of our way to get or play. They tend to be fun and interesting, but it's not something I find myself wanting to.
It's probably just because I'm bad at most.
Yeah, that's maybe some of it. I mean, it's definitely a little bit of it is like brain.
I'm
it's
not
like
good
brain
at chess.
versus brain, and like when someone wins, it's like they won because they were better. Like there's no other thing to blame.
I know. I have nothing to blame it on. That's the real problem. Well, actually, that's what I like about the gods. I can just be like,
and that's actually going to play into my point here that I think Santorini's a great, like, casual players abstract strategy game, which that's where I'm coming from. Like that's what I want out of an abstract strategy game, is I just want to play casually. I don't want to like master this game. I just want to like have fun, interesting situations. So I'm gonna be coming in at a 7.5. I was kind of between a 7.5 and an 8. Maybe if I play it more, it could go up for me. But it is kind of a best in class in this category for me. And this is exactly the formula I want out of an abstract strategy game, which is really interesting core system, but then give me some fun variability on it so that I can like just play, and it's not always the same every time. And so I think that's great for my taste specifically. It is so interesting. Like, you were talking a little bit, you brought up how like you can move diagonally. And I think that plays into why like it's so easy to play defense in this game, because you have two people, you can move diagonally. So at any given time, you can get almost anywhere until like some more stuff starts building up.
And
then all you have to do is get within one space after your movement to be able to cap a building. And so I think it just makes it so interesting, because even if you have that upper hand and it's like clearly you're in the lead, it's hard to finish it off because it's so easy for the other player to be in a position where they can keep capping it. And if you got to really be thinking, because if you let them just cap too many things, you've kind of like given up your opportunity to take advantage of the high ground. And as the person that's down, you're thinking turns ahead of like, okay, how do I block, but also do it in a way that they won't have a way, the next turn to do something I can't block. And also, how can I do it in a way that maybe opens a way for me to get a guy up a level? Like, because if I can just like upgrade the level I'm on, that could change everything. And so it's fascinating. I think it has a great dynamic compared to some other abstract strategy games of the play space shrinking. Because anytime something caps, like one of the 25 spaces is gone.
It's such a fun progression.
The longer the game goes on, you're guaranteed to have this like constricting. And oftentimes you start thinking more about, oh, I wonder if I could actually get them to not be able to play, like not be able to make a legal move. Like maybe I don't even, and especially if you're not as high up. Because maybe you're like, man, it's going to be really hard for me to swing it so that I actually get on the third level. But if I could wall in, and we've had games where, I just walled in one of their players.
One of their guys is stuck.
So they always have to do the one, which that's hugely limiting if you're just down to a single builder. And so all of that is so fun. And all of that is like you were saying, independent of the god powers. Like that's just in the nature of Santorini. And so you add in these god powers that are hugely creative in like what they do, and a lot of times seem overpowered or whatever. It's just fun to then explore that same decision space with this weird new thing that I can like double build or, these types of things. And so, I'm really happy with it. It's one that I wish I could play more often. And I think I'm probably going to have seasons where it does get, it's one of those things. If you find one other person that's like in your, you can play
a bunch of Santorini games.
And so I'm happy to have in my collection. I'm sure it will get played. But I'm not quite up to your Santorini numbers thing. This doesn't happen often with games we review.
I'm a vet. I'm a vet over here. No, I was actually thinking. I think the last thing about it's not even just Santorini, but kind of these type of games that I don't necessarily love is how they finish. And it's just an inherent nature of the game. Of pretty much every game of Santorini that I've experienced finishes with a person. Either it's one of two things, I guess. It's either the other person being like, "Oh, well, it's inevitable. I can't stop you."
They concede, basically.
And then, okay, just go. It's either concession or
the surprise victory.
Arguably even worse, you make a move and the other person's like, "I'm an idiot. Like I could have blocked it, but I didn't." And so I could have, and I missed something that I could have done. Like really, those are the only.
Yeah, it's kind of that.
Really endings
dynamic of like you're gonna get to a point where the person realizes there's nothing they can do,
right? And so totally not a like knock on the game, more just kind of my enjoyment of it. The finish is I never love the finish. The gameplay is the best part. The finish is always a little bit of just like kind of feels like a little bit of a letdown from the fun of the lead up,
especially if you feel like it kind of like cut the game short because you felt like you missed something or but at that point it's just like well done.
Let's play another.
Well done. That was because it usually is something like the fact that they got you into that position means that they caught they were able to do something you didn't anticipate, because both players are thinking turns ahead. You have to be thinking turns ahead. So it's like all you can really do is go like, that was a clever move. Like, I didn't see you doing that, and move on.
Hopefully, if only everyone had the calm reaction to mistakes as Ryan does.
Just rage, flips the table. This would be a fun game to flip the table. All those little pieces.
Ryan, we should have video sometime of top Daniel explosions when we were kids.
Interesting
playing,
list, actually.
Oh my gosh! Put that down. That's good stuff.
The viewers will come for that. Yeah, so we both really like Santorini. We've had a lot of good times with it. Ultimately, we hope this review can help you determine, is this a game you should check out?
If you don't enjoy zero luck head-to-head games or prefer your abstract strategy games to be perfectly fair, then Santorini might not be the best pick.
But if you want a two-player game that has you thinking several moves ahead to outsmart your opponent, feels fresh with its use of 3D space, and injects a ton of fun variability with unique player powers, then Santorini is definitely worth checking out.
Hey, thanks for watching, and if you want to pick up a copy of Santorini for yourself, think it's one you might enjoy, we've got a link down below. It also supports the channel. We greatly appreciate that. And if you find these are the type of games that you like, these head-to-head games, we actually made a best games like chess video listing games similar to chess that we highly recommend. Spoiler, Santorini might be in there, but we will see you in the next one.